G'day, Stu from UAVfutures here, and welcome back to another episode of Tech Tuesday, where every Tuesday we get together, we talk about some new, different, exciting technology in the FPV drone racing world. It gives me an opportunity to do some sort of different style of videos, and today, well, we've got this. So this is the Sonic Evo, and the reason I'm pretty excited about this frame is it is very different to most of our traditional. Most of them are carbon, but this one, it's got titanium arms, which titanium is a great material. It's very light, it's very strong. So what we're going to do, it looks like a bit of a nightmare to build actually. We're just going to put it on the bench, we're going to put it together, see how it goes, and also check out these titanium arms, which, is that something that a lot of companies might start doing in the future. Now, the only other company I know that uses titanium in a big way in their frames, that's the Armaton Rooster. That's all got it at the front, but I've never seen one with titanium arms before. So let's check it out and show you guys and find out what we think. All right, let's do it. Alrighty, here it is on the bench, and first things first, what we're going to do, we're going to go through some of the components, put it together, and then let's go to the field and throw it around and see if we can break it and find out exactly how strong these titanium arms are, and are you actually getting an advantage. So it really comes, I'm going to say, in 4 parts. We've got our carbon there, they're just our brace plates, so on the bottom, very pretty still to standard stuff here. Let me just tear this off. I think it's 2.5 millimeters. But yeah, 2.5 mils for each one of these. The same with the top plate as well. That's coming in at 2.5. So we're going to sandwich our arms in between those. These are our 2 little camera mounts. Nothing too exciting there. We do have a little piece of titanium on the top, and that little bit's coming in. That's going to be a 3 mil part. And then this is the part that I'm interested in. Our arms right here. So I think these are also 3 mil. Yeah, so they're 3 mil arms. And look, they are super thin. They're not very wide. How wide are those things? So they're 5 mils wide, and that's very, very thin. So you'd think that's a very, very thin, it might be good for a racing arm. It is relatively light. We're going to stick it all on scales when it's done. But titanium, it's meant to offer some great strength to weight ratios. And then finally, because you're going to be going insane trying to put this thing together, because there are so many parts, I'm not looking forward to putting this together whatsoever. You get a pill box as well, because you're going to need some pills to get through this. There is so many little nuts and bolts and washers and little stickers to stick on, all that sort of stuff. So what we're going to do, let's cut to what it looks like when it's all made up, and then I'm going to talk about some of the pros and the cons and why I'm a little bit skeptical of this titanium, because it can be very, very difficult, the quality can range quite varyingly, and then we'll take it out and give it a bit of a thrashing. So with the magic of editing, let's have a look at what it looks like when it's all together in 3, 2, 1, whoop! Alrighty, so there it is, and trust me, that took about an hour. So when it comes to an exercise in frustration, putting this thing together was an absolute nightmare. No wonder they give you a pill box, because you're going to need something to get through it. It was really, really tricky, especially, you wouldn't think putting 4 arms in there would be so tricky, but they give you these little, and there's not really in the instructions, absolutely terrible, but they give you these little sort of sticky gel parts to put in here to sort of sandwich on the arms to make it nice and snug. And let me tell you, it just gets all caught up in the screws, trying to push them through. This thing, it was a nightmare to build. I didn't have very much fun whatsoever. But I've got to say, with that said and done, it does look like a very, very cool, unique looking frame. I really like the style that it's going after. I think it looks like a very menacing little quad. But how much does it weigh with those titanium arms? Because they do look pretty pretty. Stick them on the scales, take your bets, turn this on. Where's on? Come on. There we go. So it's coming in at 89 grams. So look, it's not the lightest frame, especially for something with some ultra sort of thin arms. And I did forget to put these parts in, and they're probably going to come in at about 1 gram, but there's no way I'm going to take this apart, trying to put that, because that needs to be in the middle of the arms before you sandwich it in there. It's a loose fit. I didn't like that stuff whatsoever. So building this thing, one of the worst quads I've ever had to put together in this sort of standard sort of, I guess, idea of what frames are like today. Now, check this out, a little bit of a flex test, and you can see this thing, it is bending quite a lot. So I feel like I could probably snap, maybe where it's joining on the carbon or something like that, because it is a very, very small sort of area where it's going in, and I'm not feeling too confident about that. So even though I think the titanium might hold up, what I think is going to happen is, because you've got the strength in here, you're going to end up snapping the carbon plates on the inside. But what I want to do for a little bit of a test, I'm not going to build this thing fully up. I am going to put some motors on the arms, because definitely they contribute to sort of some extra weight in a crash. And then we'll take it out and look, let's just throw it up in the air, throw it against the wall, give it some simulated crashes and see if we can break the frame, or actually does it hold up okay. Oh, before we go too, I should mention you get about 10,000 little strange extras that come with it. So These, I definitely don't think you're going to be using as many as they actually give you. Someone doesn't care about the, luckily I did have all the parts, and you do get some spares as well, I should mention that. Anyway, let's go throw it against the wall, see how we go, and probably look pretty stupid doing it. Rightio, out here in the field, the weather is about to turn awful. I've got my Fat Shark line of sight goggles on for a bit of safety first. My wife's behind the camera, she's giggling quite a bit. We've got a safety shield for protection, and what we're gonna do, look, I don't normally try and destroy drones on purpose, but this one, that's what it's all about. How are these arms gonna hold up? Is titanium worth it? We're gonna throw it against this wall, we'll start off relatively easy, try and amp it up as much as we can, and find out, are they gonna break or are we actually onto something? But I'm not too sure how it's gonna hold up, and first and foremost, I know some people are gonna get upset. I am destroying a drone frame, but I'm doing it so you guys can decide, is it something that you wanna get, or is it just the sort of a bit of a gimmick? Anyway, let's get to it. Let's throw this thing against the wall. Ready to go. All right, so it's a little bit bent. It's still okay. All right. That one you can see it was straight in to the arm, but no real damage yet. That motor's busted. So another full impact to that motor. And the frame is still got that bit of a bend. Bend it back. That's probably the worst part. I wonder. That would still be good to go. I'm impressed. Alrighty, so there it is. There's my review of the Sonic Evo, and there, I can't see anything with these things on, but overall, when I was putting it together, I was a little bit skeptical, and it was a nightmare to put together. Let's get that out of the way. But when I took it out there and I threw this thing repeatedly against the brick wall, I must say, I was impressed, you know, and look, I know this wasn't the most scientific test whatsoever, but it was the best that I could do. Thrash it around a bit, you know, throw it into the wall, and, you know, the motors broke, but it did hold up okay. I thought it might be snapping. Maybe it might have some advantages if you go into a crash. Maybe you've only got one drone, you don't have a spare arm, and you wouldn't want to be replacing these arms anyway, and you can just bend it back. So I know a little while ago there was some aluminum frames out there. They were just way too bendy. Maybe this is the next step in that. But for me, I feel like for the price, it's just too much of a gamble. Can you hear the wind outside? It's absolutely crazy, but it is just too much of a gamble, and possibly it's borderline for me on a gimmick versus the real deal, because look, it did hold up pretty well, but I don't think I'm going to be switching over for carbon, especially when it's around the $60 price. I feel like that's really getting up there, especially on something that's a bit of an unknown quantity. And I guess that probably brings us to the quality of the thing as well, and I'm only going to say maybe like a 6 out of 10, and I know that this is a titanium alloy, like T4 or whatever. I think that's what they say in the specs, the specific type that it is, and that can have some good properties, but you also need to heat treat it properly to get the most strength out of it, and there's just no real way to find out how this is going in terms of that strength conditioning, all that sort of stuff, because titanium, if you get it right, it's amazing, but you can also have some lesser quality stuff out there. Anyway, what do you guys think? Drop your comments down below. I'm just going to ship this out. Look, if you do want this, I'm sure I'm going to be giving this away to somebody anyway, because look, it's still a perfectly fine frame. I really, really like the look of it, but I am sorry to all those people out there. You saw me throw it against the wall, but please don't get too upset. I did need to do some testing for you guys to know, is this going to be a good frame for you? And if that was the best way that I could do it. Because in no way do I like smashing up drone parts, but we really did need to put these arms to the test. Anyway, subscribe for more FPV related content, and as always, happy flying!